Well, with me now are Gabrielle Brown, who suffered a serious sexual assault in 2003. She now campaigns for victims of rape, and football agent Shanila Ahmed. Welcome to both of you this evening on Sky News Tonight. It's great to have you here. Shanila, can I start with you? Because we've been hearing there's been 150,000 people who've signed this petition to say that Sheffield United should not re-employ Ched Evans. Surely that's something that perhaps they might want to listen to.
I think with regards to the signing on of Ched Evans, it's going to be down to the board of directors and the owners. I don't think we've actually heard a statement from them as of yet.
They've said they're considering whether or not
they're considering, but what you have to bear in mind, the club has got a lot to consider, commercial deals, its sponsor deals with regards to especially the petition, and also whether or not they're condoning the conviction. And to see if they don't sign him, I'm sure there's other clubs out there who will sign him, because Ched Evans, before this conviction, he was a very good striker. And also, if I give you another example, Marlon King, he was convicted of sexual assault. Wigan took a stand at the time, didn't renew his contract, but then another club signed him. It's going to be a matter for the club and the owners as to how they perceive this now, and especially with this 150,000 petition which has been lodged.
Now, Gabrielle, Ched Evans was convicted.
Yes.
He served his time. He's now been released. Surely he should be able to go back to work.
He should. I believe in the rehabilitation of offenders. But I think from a restorative justice viewpoint, or any reasonable person's viewpoint, that if he accepts the circumstances of his conviction, then he would have every right to be very angry if he was unable to be re-signed, because he's served the custodial part of his sentence, he's been released on licence. So for an offender who's accepted the circumstances of his offending and has owned up to it, his re-employment, for me, even as a victim of a serious sexual assault, would not be so much of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, this is the issue, isn't it, that many people bring up. He hasn't shown any remorse as yet, and surely this must be an impediment to him being accepted back.
I think at this moment in time, he's only been released today. I think it's when he faces the media and what he has to say to the world as to whether or not he accepts the decision which was made by the jury with regards to his guilt or not. So that remains to be seen, and I'm sure the club themselves will probably want to wait and see for themselves as to what statement he makes and how he can actually convince that he can in fact be a good role model. But again, only time will tell.
Yeah, it's this issue of being a role model as well, isn't it? Because we've heard the Deputy Prime Minister, many others saying, whether he likes it or not, he is a public figure, he is a role model, particularly to many young kids. So, Gabrielle, should that make a difference in this kind of case?
It does make a difference, without a shadow of a doubt. And the fact that he's been convicted, and he tried to appeal his conviction in 2012, and 3 appeal judges turned it down. He has a responsibility as a professional sports person who's out there in the media, to behave in a responsible manner. And if he chooses not to behave in a responsible manner, as the evidence would suggest from his offending, then until such time as he accepts he was guilty of the offence of rape, in my opinion, he shouldn't be allowed back on the football field.
Well, Shanila, not being allowed back on the field, but just briefly, if you will, are there other options for Sheffield United, for example, less high-profile roles that might be more acceptable?
There are other options, but there's nothing to stop another club from signing him, because he is a professional and he's a talented footballer. So I think it's best to wait and see what Ched himself has to say.
Yeah, well, we'll hear that message from him next week. Both